What's up, everybody? Hope all y'all are doing undeniably fan-freaking-tastic out there. I know I am, because WrestleMania 42 is happening this weekend, and you know, every WrestleMania season, I have a little bit of an annual tradition that I like to do. I like making memes called WTF Mania. Yes, I've done a few WTF Manias before. Totally. But now, what is WTF Mania, you may ask? Well, WTF Mania is what happens when my imagination runs wild and I start creating battles that nobody has ever asked for. Well, maybe there are a few exceptions, but for me, most of it is random, most of it is parody, most of it is spoof. I just like making WTF Mania memes, alright? So I did make one for this year, and I'll go ahead and run the card by you right now. Alright? Now, where do I normally post these things, though? Because it's not a YouTube thing. It hasn't been a YouTube discussion here ever. Alright? But for context, if you haven't seen my video from 2020 of me talking about useless, unsuccessful, and/or unpopular wrestling memes, I recommend that you go watch that whenever you get a chance. I'll leave a description below if you want to go take a look at that. But in this group, I love creating my cringeworthy and goofy jokes as well as other wrestling creations. Like, this group has been perfect for me. Alright? So, of course, I'm going to be putting a lot of my WTF Mania memes in there. So, I'm going to go ahead and run the WTF Mania 42 card down for you. Alright? Because for WTF 42, you're going to have Carly Shay and Sam Puckett versus the Crust Cousins from My Life as a Teenage Robot versus Foxy Love and Medea versus Helga Pataki and Angelica Pickles. Then you got Bayonetta versus Power. I have never played Bayonetta, but I wouldn't mind doing so one day. You got Victor Crowley versus Lobo. You have Alice Abernathy versus Harley Quinn. You have Gaston, Jack Spicer, and D. Siggs versus Ernest, Keenan, and Kel. Then you have Deathstroke versus Frank Castle down here. And also, you got Homelander versus Orochimaru. Now also, we have a really weird ladder match of Bluto versus Arthur Clown versus Mega Man versus Freakazoid versus Duck Dodgers versus Austin Powers. Then you got Luke Cage versus Solomon Grundy. Edward Cullen versus him. Zohan versus Pootie Tang. Wednesday Addams versus Goof from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And then the main event, Bam Margera versus Shota Azawa. Now, what if I told you that I have actually made 42 of these? 42 WTF Mania memes. Now, maybe not technically 42 of them, because, you know, since 36, WrestleMania has been 2 nights, and I've been trying to, like, save up meme room space. So yes, I've been making two WTF Mania memes a year since 2020. But where did this all come from? Well, let me take you all back to the year of 2015. Yes, it was the year where SSP was born. But about a month before SSP Self-Standard Programming was created, I was still in this group, at least since 2014. But 2015, WrestleMania 31 was rolling around, and I decided to go ahead and just, you know, make a mock card just for the fun of it. And I called this meme WTF Mania 0. Now, the thing about this meme, though, is that this didn't start in useless, unsuccessful, and/or unpopular wrestling memes. This tradition started with a group called the Sickest Nation. And for those of you that don't know what the Sickest Nation is, it is a fan group, an online fan group for fans of D. Siggs, aka the Angry Black Man. Now, in this meme 0, that I like to call it, the card was Gary Busey versus Vegeta, PewDiePie versus Fred Sanford, Jim Carrey and the Mario Brothers versus the Three Stooges, Medea versus Mama, aka Thelma Harper, Chef Ramsay versus Sergeant Gunnery Hartman, the Fonz versus Finn the Human, and Deadpool versus Jason Voorhees with D6 as the referee. But now, I had so much fun making that first meme, I decided to go ahead and go all the way. I wanted to make WTF Mania memes out of almost every WrestleMania in existence. It got to a point where there were some members of the Sickest Nation getting a little bit annoyed, but at the same time, there was others that was fully on board for this, and they were suggesting matches sometimes. They was creating discussion. It was funny. It was really funny. But then, of course, once I ended up getting invited to the Useless, Unsuccessful, and Unpopular Wrestling Memes group, I started putting them in there too. Yeah. Now, even though that was meme 0, technically, I did end up making a actual WTF Mania 31 later on, shortly after that. So what you saw as meme 0 was basically like a rough draft seed idea, basically. Alright, because with some of the recent WTF Mania memes, I have been trying to almost make it a spoof of the card almost. Yeah, for example, with WTF Mania 42, one of the main events is Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Alright, one thing I did for that was, everybody's been calling Cody Rhodes Homelander in some context.
So, Homelander, what do you want to talk about?
Alright, but I made Orochimaru his opponent because, well, Randy Orton is a Viper, and I know Orochimaru, who he can be a little bit of a snake sometimes. So, Evil Snake versus Pissed Off Blondie, it works, it works. Alright, but now, with the whole spoof of WrestleMania things, of course, I tried to be as authentic as I could when it comes to the parody. And normally, I let the floor open to discussion to say, hey, who do you folks think will win? But I kind of overstepped my boundaries a little bit. I won't even say overstepped my boundaries. I kind of like took matters into my own hands when I created WTF Mania 4. And for those of you that don't know your WrestleMania lore, yeah, that rhymes. WrestleMania 4 was actually a full-on tournament. So yes, I did make a tournament out of that meme, and yes, Deadpool won it. I'm going to go ahead and leave this on the screen so you can pause it and take a look at the brackets if you want to. But now, also in the creation of these WTF Mania memes, of course, I had a streak going on. Like, when you think about WrestleMania, one of the things you think about is the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. And of course, I created one of those for WTF Mania 2. Alright, I left the floor open to discussion. Alright. But in the role of WTF Mania, though, my Undertaker was Michael Myers. And I wish I can go back and slap 21-year-old SelfStandard right now because of how much hype I found out that Michael Myers was getting. Alright. Some of you remember my Olivia Cochran arc. Yeah, like, I exposed Michael Myers as the fraud that he is. So, the fact that I gave him, of all people, an Undertaker level WrestleMania streak, WTF Mania streak, I kind of regret that. But anyway, who exactly was in Michael Myers' WTF Mania winning streak? Alright. It was Bruce Lee, Dirty Harry, Bigfoot, Fat Bastard, Waka Flocka Flame, Frankenstein's Monster, Leatherface twice, Buford T. Justice, The Joker thrice, PewDiePie, a handicap match of Popeye and Bluto, Justin Bieber, Danny DeVito, Jason Voorhees, Ozzy Osbourne, The Zohan twice, Steve-O, and Broly from Dragon Ball became the Streak Breaker. Alright, but just because Undertaker lost to WrestleMania, it didn't mean he stopped competing at the show of shows. So WTF Mania still kept booking Michael Myers. He was in there with Freddy Krueger, Eminem, Captain America, I accidentally left him off WrestleMania 34 or WTF Mania 34 because I know John Cena had that match that was not advertised at all. He just said that he was going to be sitting in the front row the whole time, and he was just waiting for Undertaker to show up, and that match became an utter squash that night. But yeah, I forgot to add Michael Myers to WTF Mania 34. I'll take that L. Alright. But lastly was Mega Man X, which was Undertaker's last WrestleMania for WrestleMania 36. That was the day he had that Boneyard match with AJ Styles. But now, I know in this day and age of AI, a lot of people can generate almost anything. Almost anything. And I would love somebody to try and utilize AI technology to try and, you know, one day render a full-on WTF Mania card. That would be spectacular. I mean, heck, I've been playing around with AI myself a little bit. I've been rendering some of these matches myself, like, sometime last year. I was going through my WTF Mania memes and said, okay, who would win this match, this match, this match? Like, I'm reading it play out in my hand, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. But before this whole AI technology started taking over, I ended up taking matters into my own hands, trying to, you know, make my own images from one of the WTF Mania memes. WTF Mania 19. Alright, I did try making my own pictures from this card. I'll go ahead and leave the meme up now so you can see it. And now I'm also going to go ahead and leave this up too. Through the glorious powers of Microsoft Paint on a Windows 7 computer, I have been able to create images based on the WTF Mania 19 card just because, dude, I was having the time of my life back then when I was 21. Like making these WTF Mania memes, it was fun. Like, I liked it. But after I got caught up with all the WTF Mania memes, I decided, you know what, this is going to be an annual tradition for me. I'm going to create WTF Mania memes once a year. Well, technically twice a year because of the 2-night thing, but whatever. But I'm going to be making these WTF Mania memes, like, annually. Like, this is a part of my WrestleMania tradition. I love it. Alright. And in addition to this particular video that you're watching now, I'm going to go, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit of a slideshow over there on the James SelfStandard channel. Yeah. I'm going to make a slideshow on the James SelfStandard channel of every WTF Mania meme that I have ever created. And as you're sitting there watching it, you can feel free to, like, you know, pause the video anytime you want to. That way you can take a look at what matches are where and whatnot. I would highly recommend watching it on a computer though, because I know on the phone it might be frustrating saying, oh, I gotta pause it, and then you gotta zoom in. Look. Yeah, that might be a little bit frustrating. Yeah. But yeah, folks, that is the whole lore behind my WTF Mania memes, and I'm looking forward to this weekend's extravaganza, and I hope you folks are too. And yeah, until next time, make sure all of you remember to be outrageously optimistic year-round. Booyah! I'm out.
We'll leave their bones for the crows.